What if I told you Jesus wasn't nice? Yes, that same Jesus who came into temples to flip tables, told religious leaders that they're whitewashed tombs, and most importantly said that he's coming back with a sword, not to bring peace. Let that actually sink in for a moment. Today we're talking about something that might make you uncomfortable, the actual difference between being nice and being loving. Because along the way, we somehow confuse the two, and I'm here to clarify and set things straight. Now let's look at the book of Peter, 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15. Always be ready to give a defense to everyone who asks you a reason for the hope that's in you, with meekness and fear. Notice how it doesn't say someone who doesn't agree or avoids conflict. Now let's look at a prime example of how Jesus showcases that we should be loving and not kind. Now let's look at Jesus, the perfect example of bold love within the book of John, the temple incident where merchants were being casted out and tables were being flipped. Sometimes love can look like righteous anger. Or even within the book of Matthew where Jesus was speaking with the Pharisees and calling out on their hypocrisy and speaking and calling out their sins. Notice how Jesus wasn't afraid of conflict, but he still showcased compassion to the rest of Jerusalem. We see it too often nowadays where people are afraid of hiding the harsh truth and trying to masquerade it with love. Imagine you and your friend were driving and you're looking at a scenic route, but you see your friend driving towards a cliff. Are you going to say something, or are you going to just relish in the temporary moment that is fleeting with you looking at whatever beautiful scenic route you're in because you're too afraid of speaking up and saying something? You don't want to step on anybody's toes. You don't want to impede. You're going to take the wheel and swerve it back into the right direction so you guys both don't lose your life. That's the only logical thing to do. You may be frustrated at the time, but you're coming out of a place of love where you don't want both of your lives to be ruined. This is exactly what we see today as Christians, where we're too focused on admiring the view and are being afraid to speak up just because we don't want to ruin the mood. But some things are necessary. In this case, speaking the truth from a position of love is very much necessary to not only save your life, but impact the lives of others. Let's look at another example of bold love within the scriptures, within John 4, where Jesus was with the woman at the well. He walked straight up to her, acknowledged her past, acknowledging that she's had many husbands in the past, and the person she's currently with isn't her husband. Harsh? No, he's telling her exactly what she needed to hear, but he's not condemning her for it. He's telling her about her past, but offering to save her and offering her the new path to forget about her sins, forget about her past life, but focus on stuff from the world to fill that empty void. But Jesus came and rectified that situation. The many people within that time were just looking at her and clowning her, but they didn't actually provide solutions. That could be masqueraded with a niceness. You can be trying to validating people's feelings, validating their actions, but you sometimes have to hold the mirror and show people what they've done to actually ignite a change to be able to have them correct their behavior. That's what love is. You even see another example with Jesus and disciples where Jesus focuses on the truth as opposed to being nice. Where Peter is still trying to convince Jesus that he doesn't have to go and die on the cross. And Jesus replied, "Get away from me, Satan." Why? Because showcasing love and compromising the truth isn't love at all. Because today we face similar situations where we see friends smiling towards destruction. We see family members turning away from their faith. Why? Because we want to give them that temporary comfort of being nice, as opposed to the eternal lesson that is showcasing the truth, holding up the mirror and acknowledging you can't do this. But you should also showcase that from a perspective of love. Most people are misinterpreting kindness for weakness. You can be nice in certain instances, but there's certain times where you can put the nice guy act aside. Just because you're a Christian, it doesn't always mean that you have to be nice 24/7. We're living life like Jesus, and Jesus was bold, as we've seen within examples. Sometimes you need to be bold and telling people things that they need to hear. The bold truth can be like a doctor diagnosing his patient. Would you want the doctor to tell you everything's fine, or to give you the truth regardless of the outcome? That's what Jesus did. Jesus came, but he never left people feeling bad about whatever hard truth they did. Jesus always offered a solution, and he came to correct their sin, not judge them for it. The art of bold love comes out of a place from the heart, out of necessity, out of feeling compelled to. It's like when you're showcasing and sharing the good news, you feel compelled to tell people. In even instances where it's not good news, you're facing people and telling them the harsh truth. There may be pushback. People may not reciprocate to the message directly, but you're telling them stuff they need to hear. For example, watching this video, people may not resonate with my tone of voice or how I'm presenting this message, but it's stuff people that are too busy being focused on niceness as opposed to telling the truth need to hear. Being nice often means 1. Avoiding truth to keep the peace. 2. Being silent about sin. And 3. Compromising your beliefs for acceptance. Here's what Jesus said within the book of Luke to combat this. Within Luke chapter 12 verse 51, he said, "Do you suppose that I come to give peace on earth? I tell you, not at all, but rather division." Rather division. Like I said in the intro, Jesus came with a sword, not to bring peace. He acknowledged that houses will be divided, and house divided amongst itself will not stand. So you should be able to triumph in leading your house by acknowledging and telling them the truth that is in Jesus Christ, and showcasing that certain things that they're doing, certain actions and sins that they're doing shouldn't be the case, and they'll try to condemn them for their sins, but actually showcase the love of Jesus and showcasing that you're only there to help. So you have to sort of pivot them and put their perspective in a 180 to actually flip around and acknowledge that what they're doing is headed down the wrong path. So when someone asks you to participate in gossip, you have two approaches, the loving and the nice response. Which one would you choose? If someone asks you to compromise your beliefs, what would you choose? The loving option would be, "Hey guys, yeah, that's not me anymore. That used to be me. I know you guys used to be going out, doing whatever, doing X, Y, and Z, but that's no longer me. They try to nag you on, please, I advise you to respect my decision." You don't have to raise your voice. You don't have to get angry. You can speak to them with a calm, convincing tone, but you must stand firm. Don't be nice by acknowledging and trying to go along. That's another thing of being lukewarm, which I'll mention in another video. But you also have to stand firm in your beliefs. That's another thing about being loving, where you acknowledge and take no for an answer. When you acknowledge and take no for an answer, people will have pushback. But you may be thinking, what if they reject me? Who cares? Jesus says, if the world hates you, remember it hated me first, within John chapter 15 verse 16. If the world hates you, just know it hated me first. I just want to conclude with reiterating that the world doesn't need any more nice Christians, and needs people who are standing firm on their beliefs, who trust God enough to be able to provide them with the wisdom to speak to the person from a perspective of love as opposed to niceness, as well as a person who seeks to find the truth and seeks to empower others in the name of Jesus Christ. Thank you.